Hello everyone, I'm doing a second version of a C310 Preamp video today, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing a second one after 3 years of productions. You'll find out later. But this is a C310 line stage preamp. It's my entry-level preamp. Yeah, I know somebody doesn't want to call it entry-level, but it's my entry-level preamp. Have all the basic function as a preamp that you need: a volume control, a selector switch. And the unique feature of this preamp has two types of coupling capacitor for the user to choose from: oil paper in oil cap and X2 cap, bypass switch for the capacitor, and a headphone jack. The capacitor is one of the reasons that I'm doing this video again, because after 3 years we have multiple units out there in the field, customer feedback and telling us how they use it. I believe it will be usable for future potential user to learn from the past and see how they actually take advantage of the features. And this is the separate power supply. Obviously is looked white right now. This is another reason I like to do this video again, so to show all the user this is a protective layer of paper. You peel that off when you get it. I don't want to peel it off. This one used to have the white too, but I have to peel it off to install the knob. But this one I don't have to peel it off. So it can protect during shipping until you use it. You can peel it off. So I'm going to peel it off for you. This customer, I'm going to peel it off for you so I can show it in camera. It can peel off. And I am going to take the mic off this stand. I might make some noise when I play with the mic. And put on my clothes. And bring the camera over so I can show you the closer look of the preamp. And never mind these things yet. These things I'm going to tell you later. Let's see. Okay, I'm seeing what you're seeing. Camera off the tripod. So this is the preamp C310. Am I focused? I am focused. This is a C310. That's a headphone jack, volume control. This is a remote volume control. This is a direct and a capacitor switch. You switch direct to bypass the capacitor. When you switch it to capacitor, you have two types of capacitor to choose from: paper and oil, and X2. And this is the selector switch. With this preamp has 5 inputs. There is another version that has 3 inputs. And this is the power supply, which I'm going to show you. The paper actually peels off. And on the back, let's quickly go there. Let me turn on the light. That's 5 inputs. The first 1, 2, 3 are the single-ended only inputs. The 4 and 5 is actually a combination of balance and single-ended. So you can actually use it either way. So in fact, you would end up have 5 single-ended inputs, or 3 single-ended and 2 balance. A single-ended output and a balanced output. The jack on the left is the one going to the power supply. The jack on the right is called the SP Capacitor Pack jack. It's hooked up to external capacitor, like the one beside. This is the SP Capacitor 36, the biggest capacitor pack that I have in production for all the line stage component. I have made bigger one as a custom unit, but the production one is SP Capacitor Pack 36. That's the biggest one. Internally, this is going to scare some people, but hopefully not all. Electrically, of course, they're going to be all the same, but every one of them has personality. This one have the red and blue and a green. This is a green. This is a green. Helicopter landing pad. The next one, it might be slightly color different, but that's how life's around here. Because I gotta please myself when I build these things, and otherwise I will get bored. So I am going to put this camera into the next tripod, and I'm going to show you that white paper it's going to peel off. And make sure that I don't trip myself. Yeah. Now that little leftover paper within the engraving, you can gently use a fingernail to poke it off, or you can just use a toothpick, a plastic toothpick or a wooden toothpick, and actually just gently pick it off. And I'm going to put down the mic and going to get a piece of wood to pick it off right here, so bear with me. Zoom in a little more. Can I zoom in a little more? Not that much more, but you can see it. That's how you take the paper off. That's how you take the white paper off, and the paper, then a little piece of paper between the lettering. So I'm putting the mic back onto my lapel. I know every time I play with the mic, it's going to make a little bit ticking sound. So I try not to play with it too much. And taking the camera off the tripod. Zoom back out. So this preamp, this 310, is going to somebody who has a power amp that is 250 watts, fairly popular power amp, but that is a bit, it can be a little bit spicy, as should I call it, spicy side. And from experience, that type of power amp, you can actually just turn on the paper and oil cap and tame it down a little bit. And if just a tiny bit tame it down, and if the paper oil cap is a little bit too much in personality, you can try the X2 cap, just the X2 cap, or both. So it gives you 1, 2, and 3 combination, plus the direct is equal to 4 combination that you can try. And those capacitor, I call it adding personality to it, but somebody might say let's sweeten up a little bit. But there are amps out there, there are power amps out there, or even speaker, or even your room can use a little bit of sweeten up to tame down some of the high frequency bouncing around. Some of the solid state, even DAC can be a little spicy, and I learned that word from yesterday. Somebody say he's buying a used pair of speaker, and he said the speaker sounds a little spicy, but the seller is actually using a vintage receiver and a playing YouTube video online. The vintage receiver is not quite vintage, it's back in about 90s or early 2000s, so it's not quite vintage. So they can be spicy. So he said, so I thought that was a perfect word for describing this little bit sharp sound. But if you don't like that, and you can use a little bit more musicality, those caps are great. Or once you get something that just right, you don't have to use it. Switch it to direct, bypass the cap. That's what those switches are for. But if you don't have those switches, you don't have a choice. Sometimes you don't know what you're missing until you miss it. In this case, you might not know what you're missing until you try something better than what you have. In this case, of the 4 combination of preamp, For the switches, you can try without even spending any additional money, and that's what I am aiming for. I am aiming for user choice. The user choice that I'm aiming for is adjustability, the way you can adjust it the way you want, and without adding too much. It's almost like changing room acoustic. You're moving speaker position. That's the same thing, but this one is the electronics, and the electronics are changing the tonal profile of the sound of the music. Physical location, changing your sound stage, a lot of times sound stage, and if you need to tame down, you can adjust the room acoustic, but they don't change the tonal profile or tonal signature of the sound. Changing the tonal profile of the sound is mostly in the electronics. And that's about all I'm going to tell you in this video. I might even do a third one after about 2 or 3 years later when we have more experience from user feedback. In this case, the most useful feedback are the customer that actually have an amp that's a little bit too spicy, too forceful, if you may call it. Those capacitors are really handy to tame it down, and to the point, not to the point it doesn't lose any resolution, but it just to tame it down so it's much more enjoyable. So until next time, stay safe. I am shutting off the camera. Bye.